In 2022, someone paid over $5 million for this. A single Pokémon card. It's cardboard. It's ink. So what on earth is going on? And it's not a fluke. A baseball card once sold for $12.5 million. Little rectangles of printed paper, changing hands for the price of a mansion. So how did shiny cardboard become worth a fortune? Tonight, the strange history of the trading card. It started over a century ago, and not with games at all. In the late 1800s, cigarette companies slipped small cards into their packs. At first the card was just a stiffener to stop the pack from getting crushed. But then someone had an idea. Put a picture on it. Pictures of athletes, actors, ships, and flags. Suddenly people were buying the product just to collect the cards. The insert had become the prize. Bubble gum companies took the baton, tucking cards in with the gum. And a hobby was born, collecting little printed heroes. Here's the twist. Those flimsy giveaway cards, made to be thrown away, are now some of the most valuable objects in the hobby. Precisely because so few survived. Which brings us to the most famous card of them all. The T206 Honus Wagner, printed around 1909. Legend says Wagner, a baseball star, had his card pulled from production early. Maybe he didn't want kids buying cigarettes. Maybe he wanted more money. Nobody's quite sure. Either way, very few survived. And in collecting, rarity is everything. The fewer that exist, the more people will pay. One of those cards has sold for over $7 million. A picture of a man from more than 100 years ago. And the record holder? A 1952 Mickey Mantle baseball card, which sold for over $12 million. The most expensive trading card ever printed. Now fast forward to 1993, when a mathematician named Richard Garfield changed everything. He invented Magic, the Gathering, the first modern trading card game, where the cards weren't just collectibles. They were the game itself. You built a deck, you dueled your friends, and you chased rare cards to get stronger. Collecting and competing fused into one. And at the very top sat the Black Lotus, a card so powerful and so rare it became the Holy Grail. Mint copies have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Magic proved something huge. People would chase cardboard not just to own it, but to play with it. Almost every game that followed copied the blueprint. And then, in the late 1990s, came the one that went supernova, Pokémon. For a whole generation of kids, opening a Pokémon pack was pure magic. And one card ruled the playground, the first edition holographic Charizard. That shiny Charizard, in perfect condition, can now sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The same card that used to sit forgotten in a kid's shoebox. But the rarest of all is the Pikachu Illustrator. Only a tiny handful were ever made, handed out as prizes in an art contest. One of them sold for over $5 million, the most expensive Pokémon card on Earth. And Pokémon wasn't alone. Yu-Gi-Oh! And dozens of other games turned trading cards into a global obsession worth billions of dollars a year. So why does one piece of printed paper sell for millions, while an almost identical one is worth pocket change? A big part of the answer is condition. Cards are sent away to grading companies who inspect every corner and edge, then seal them in a plastic case with a score. Perfect 10 is the golden ticket. A tiny scratch, a slightly soft corner, and the value can drop by 90%. Here, perfection is everything. Collectors obsess over tiny details, too. A first edition stamp, a specific print run, a border with no shadow. Little marks most people would never notice can mean enormous money. Now combine all of that with scarcity. A rare card in flawless condition that almost nobody else owns. That is the recipe for a fortune. Some collectors won't even open their packs. A sealed, untouched booster box can be worth more than the cards inside, frozen in time like buried treasure waiting to be dug up. And where there's money, there are fakes. Counterfeit cards flooded the market, which is exactly why that sealed grading case matters. It's a little certificate of trust. Grading did something sneaky, too. It turned a childhood toy into a tradable asset, with prices you could track and chart, just like a stock. And wherever there are prices that go up, there are people who want to get rich. During the pandemic, trading cards exploded into a full-blown investment craze. Everyone was buying, flipping, and betting on the next big card. Celebrities and YouTubers poured in, ripping open packs live for millions of viewers. The hype fed the prices, and the prices fed the hype. Prices for the rarest cards shot to the moon. Old collections gathering dust in attics were suddenly worth a small fortune. Some of that was a bubble, and bubbles always wobble. But the truly rare cards? They mostly kept their crown. Which leaves the real question. Underneath all the money, why do we care about shiny cardboard at all? First, nostalgia. That Charizard isn't just a card. It's your childhood, your friends, a feeling you can suddenly hold in your hand again. Second, status. Owning the rarest card is like owning an original painting. Quietly says, I have the one thing almost no one else can. And third, the thrill. Tearing open a fresh pack is a tiny lottery. Your brain gets a little rush of hope with every single card you flip over. And why shiny? A holographic card catches the light and dances as you tilt it. Our eyes are wired to notice things that sparkle. Shiny just feels special before we even know why. Nostalgia, status, and that gambler's spark. That is what people are really buying. Not the paper, the feeling. So the next time you hear that someone paid millions for a card, remember, they weren't really paying for cardboard and ink. They were paying for something rare, something remembered, something almost no one else on Earth could hold. A little rectangle that somehow carries a memory, a game, and a fortune, all at once. And if you enjoyed tonight's fact, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. A brand new bedtime fact is waiting for you every night, and there's another one on screen right now. Sweet dreams.